Hi, I'm Mary Kate McGeehan. With age working against us, most of us need all the help we can get when it comes to looking as good as we can for as long as we can. And that's what this tape is all about. In a minute, we're going to join Cher and one of Hollywood's all-time great makeup artists, Leonard Engleman. But first, I want to call your attention to this brochure which you received in your kit. It announces Cher's Skincare Club enrollment contest. It tells you how you can win free Aquessentials products every time you enroll a friend or relative into Cher's Skincare Club. And listen to this. Every month, the 2 club members who enroll the most people into the Skincare Club will win an all-expense paid trip to Hollywood for 2. It's all spelled out in this brochure, so be sure to take a look. Now, while Cher needs no introduction, unless you're with a film studio, you probably don't know that much about Leonard. Cher called him the world's best makeup artist, and she should know. He's been her makeup artist for years. In addition to Cher, his artistry has adorned Hollywood's most beautiful faces: Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Melanie Griffith, Kathleen Turner, Gina Davis, Susan Sarandon, Sigourney Weaver, and Deborah Winger, just to name a few. Later on in this tape, Leonard's going to teach you some of his makeup techniques that will enable you to look better than you ever imagined. But first, you're going to learn how you can use Aquessentials' 5-step regimen to make your skin look and feel its absolute best. The more you depend on Aquessentials now, the less you'll have to depend on makeup later. A few weeks from now, you'll be amazed. A few years from now, you'll be envied.
Hi, welcome to our Skincare Club. Now, Leonard and I have been working on this project for over 2 years, and we've worked with some of the finest cosmetic chemists in the country, and we're both convinced that this is the very best skincare line available. But the good thing is, you no longer have to take our word for it. Now that you've got our products, and once you learn the right way to use them, you will see and feel an instant difference.
But as good as its immediate gratification is, even more important, you'll know that these products are actually benefiting your skin down deep where it counts the most. That's because our moisture products contain Hydrobond 5000, which penetrates deep into the surface layer of your skin.
Now, we've put together a simple 5-step regime which will only take a few minutes per day, but it will enable you to get the most out of our Aquessential products.
There's 2 steps in the morning, 2 steps at night, and a 5th step, which is a complete facial that you can give yourself 1 to 3 times a week. The first step is to clean and polish your skin, and for that you need our facial cleanser and our facial scrub.
What I like about the cleanser is, first of all, it took me a long time to not use soap and water on my face. My doctor, my dermatologist has been telling me for years not to do it, and he finally got me using this stuff. And it doesn't, like, when I use it 2 ways. I use it with water, and sometimes I just use it alone with cotton to take off my makeup. But the thing that I really love about it is it doesn't leave my face feeling greasy like oil, but it doesn't leave my face feeling tight, like my skin feeling really tight, like when you use soap and water. So I don't know. It took me a long time to get used to the idea of it, but I love what it does.
So you'll start your day by using our facial cleanser. Now, this can be used 2 ways. Some of you prefer a lotion, some of you prefer more of a sudsy action. This product works great for both of you. If you prefer not using water, pour the facial cleanser into your hands and massage it over your face, loosening the makeup impurities or oil. Then, using cotton, remove the cleanser, easily wiping away the impurities. If you prefer a sudsy cleanser, pour a few drops of facial cleanser into your hands, add a few drops of water. Lather your face. Now, with a wet washcloth, remove the cleanser, makeup, and impurities.
What I like about this scrub, I use this scrub three times a week, and it makes my skin very polished. It seems like it's like a pumice stone feeling for your face, and so it makes it feel really smooth. I know Paulette only uses it once a week because her skin is drier.
Yeah, I use it every other day. In fact, I just put it right in the shower, and it's real easy to use.
I have it in the
for
shower
me.
too, yeah.
That's the best, especially with the tube. That way no water gets in it, it stays sanitary all the time. But unlike so many scrubs that you may have used in the past They usually have such large particles that it's almost like moving boulders over your face. But you're right, the very fine pumice that we
Yeah.
have in this product, it just smooths and
very
literally
thin,
polishes the
yeah.
skin.
It's very thin. I like that.
To use a scrub, just apply it on your forehead and cheeks. Use circular motions and polish your skin nice and smooth. Now don't try to go from rough to smooth in one application. And if you feel you need a little more glide over your face, try it with a few drops of water on your fingertips, and then just rinse thoroughly.
So I use this scrub 3 to 4 times a week, and you can use it as often as every other day, or you can use it as little as once a week, depending on how sensitive and dry your skin is.
After cleansing, the second step is to lift and replenish. This involves our revitalizing lift, our continuous release moisturizer or cream gel, and our fine line serum. It starts with the lift. Now, the lift is one of the great rescue products. I use this with all the actors and actresses I work with. The lift helps diminish puffiness and fine lines around the eye area. You can also smooth a few drops over your forehead and watch the lines diminish. Now, to use the lift, apply 1 drop under the eye area, extending out a little so the lift can draw and firm. In about a minute, the lift will be dry. Keep your face relaxed without much facial movement while this is drying. If you feel a little more firmness is necessary, add a little more lift to the specific area. Now, naturally through the day, the lift will let up a bit. Merely dampen the area with a mist of water or a damp tissue, and you'll feel the lift reactivate as it dries. That's one of the beauties of this product. You don't have to reapply the lift or change your makeup. Simply moisten.
When we first started using this product, a couple of the girls who were testing it used too much. You remember that? And you don't get the desired result. I mean, you have to start off with really, really little. It's very, very concentrated, so don't use too much.
Yeah, it just takes a drop under the eye. Just smooth it out and extend it out beyond the eye area so that can draw. It works wonderfully. Now, after the lift is dry, you apply either the continuous release moisturizer or cream gel.
I use the cream gel, and the thing that I think is great about it is that I have more oily skin, and so the cream gel, it makes your face supple and it makes your face smooth, but doesn't make it oily, it doesn't make it look greasy, it goes right into your skin, and for me it's fabulous. I mean, and I have a lot of friends who even in their 40s, they still have kind of oily skin, so but they want to put something on it. It's like you don't want it to be like taut and dry, you want it to be supple, so this works great. I think it's a great product.
Now, whether you use the moisturizer or the cream gel, a little bit goes a long way. Just smooth a small amount on your face and neck, then massage it in. After it's been absorbed, you can apply the fine line serum to the areas around the mouth, eyes, and forehead, wherever fine lines are present. Once again, a little bit goes a long way. You'll only need 1 or 2 drops at the most. Now you're ready for makeup. That's all there is to it. Now, step 3 and 4 of our regimen happen at the end of the day. Step 3 is cleanse. And to do this, you use our eye makeup remover around your eyes and then cleanse your face with our facial cleanser.
The thing that I love about this eye makeup remover, well, there's a couple of things I love about it. First, I have very sensitive eyes, and it doesn't burn my eyes. Secondly, you put the cleanser on a cotton pad, and it looks just like water, but don't be fooled by that because you don't have to scrub, you don't have to rub. When you place it over your eye like that, the mascara or eyeshadow or whatever just dissolves. I think we've spent a lot of time on this particular product, and I think that you'll really get the benefit of it.
After you've removed your eye makeup, cleanse your face with facial cleanser. The 4th and final step of your daily regimen is to replenish. This uses a continuous release moisturizer or cream gel, the fine line serum, and if you have a special need around your eyes, a product that we're just now making available, our continuous release intensive eye cream.
One of the things that I really love about the intensive eye cream is that it doesn't make your eyes puffy. You can put it on in the day when you're not wearing makeup, or you can put it on in the nighttime, and it's very emollient, but it doesn't feel like you have like bacon grease or anything really thick on your eyes. So it's one of my favorite products.
Now, the eye cream is very concentrated, so use it sparingly. And this brings us to the 5th step in the regimen, a weekly facial. And you can treat yourself to this up to 3 times a week. Here's what you do. It's very simple. First, cleanse your face with our facial cleanser. Then polish your skin with our scrub. And then dry your face. Now you're ready for the mask. To use a mask, apply a generous amount over your entire face and throat, avoiding the eye area. Use about 1½ tablespoons so you get a fairly thick, complete coverage. Now just sit back and relax and softly dry the mask with a blow dryer. You might go back and forth between warm and cold. The cold invigorates the skin while the warm is soothing and relaxing. The mask will dry in 10 to 15 minutes. You can let the mask air dry if you prefer. Of course, this will take longer. Expect that the mask is going to dry very hard and tight. You might even feel a slight pulsing. While you have this on, don't talk. Try not to crack the mask. The fewer little cracks, the tighter and tauter your skin will feel and look. If any area is uncomfortable, just dampen it for release. Once the mask is dry, remove it by using a great deal of water. Totally moisten the mask with very wet washcloth. Very softly slide your cloth over your face, removing the softened mask. Keep using a lot of water with your cloth until all the mask is removed. Now follow with an abundant splashing of cold water on your face to close the pores. When you finish, your face will probably look flushed. This is due to increased surface circulation. After you've rinsed off the mask and dried your face, now apply the lift to the areas you wish to tighten and allow to dry. Finally, you complete your facial by applying the continuous release moisturizer. Once you start using the mask on a regular basis, if you skip too many days, you'll really notice a difference.
This is my favorite product. This is really the reason that I bought the company and got into this all in the first place. It's the first mask that I've ever used that really does something. I mean, you buy them all the time and they say they're going to do something, but they never do. This mask really does. It tightens your skin. It makes it smoother. I always use it before I work. If I'm doing on a concert tour, if I'm doing a movie, I always use the mask. It just tightens my face. It just lifts it right up. And even if I'm tired, it still does it. I could be tired inside, but the mask doesn't betray me. It just still, tightens it up. And last but not least, in the fall, we have a big surprise. Leonard and I have really wanted to do this since we knew each other, since we first met each other. We're going to have a line that comes out in the fall of actual makeup, colors, eyeshadows, lipsticks, all that good stuff. So I'm going to let Leonard tell you about it.
We really are excited, but a picture's worth 1,000 words, and yesterday we taped a makeover using our new makeup to show women what they can do with the right techniques and the right makeup.
So let's take a look.
Now, after you've cleansed and polished, lifted and replenished your skin, you'll be ready to add a little color for a natural, beautiful you. I always use the phrase, just a little touch of color to the beauty that's already there. So some days there needs to be a little more touch of color than other days. If you've been to cosmetic counters, read beauty books, or seen other makeup videos, you probably become confused about conflicting directions on what to do when. Foundation then concealer, concealer then foundation, blush goes here, blush goes there. What we're going to do is simplify all this. Together we're going to demystify the difficulties of makeup and show you how easy it is to become simply beautiful. To make this happen, you need the right products, the right knowledge, and the right tools. The products I'm using today come from our new line of makeup and are in sample containers. We'll have them in our actual packaging this fall, and that's when we'll be making them available to you. So let's not complicate this any further. Let's start with our model, Lee, and let's look at first applying foundation. The first time I used this foundation, I literally did a double take. I put it on my hand and it looked so natural and so smooth. Now, in 28 years, I've tried everything from drugstore products for $1.39 to department store products for $55. And I'd never seen anything that goes on as nice and smooth as this, and it's natural, and it stays all day because when you powder it, it's waterproof. You don't have to touch this up a lot. You'll love this. I'm going to use a sponge with our foundation, and you may be using your fingers now, but I'd like for you to try the sponge. Once you try it, you're not going to want to go back to the fingers. When you're working around your face, you notice that all of a sudden your fingers seem like they get so much bigger when you get around the eyes. Well, with the sponge, you can change it into any shape you want. When you come in under the eye area here, you just bend it and you can apply easily. When you come over here, you can bend it and apply easily. You get a nice smooth application of the foundation You'll see here, as I'm applying, see how nice and smooth that goes on? Now, one is the product, the other is a sponge. I'm going to use different amounts of our foundation at different areas with Lee because, as you can see, she's got quite a bit of color in through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that even thinner and let that almost be the major part of her coloring. I'm just going to smooth this out so that we have a nice even color. Now, you notice I've gone up just into the hairline just slightly. Okay? What we want to do is we want to create the feeling that this is how you look when you get up. This is how nice your skin looks. You don't want somebody coming up and saying, boy, you sure do a great job on your foundation. You want somebody coming up and saying, boy, your skin is beautiful. Okay? I'm also carrying this down below in the neckline area here a little bit. And I'm just going to feather that out as we go. So we get a nice blend. Again, we don't want to mask. We don't want any line of demarcation in and around here. We want that on nice and smooth. The cream foundation that we're using here, as I said before, is almost waterproof when it's powdered. You'll find just a few minutes, even if you didn't use powder, it has a nice natural look. But I certainly recommend powder for the overall effect that it's going to give you. Okay, we're just blending that out. Now you notice when I come into the eye area, I keep that real thin because we're going to come back in there with a concealer. We don't want to build up a product there. Our foundation is a cream foundation, and you'll find that it will hold better than probably any product you've ever used. When it's powdered, it's waterproof, and I certainly haven't found anything to equal it in 28 years. The next product we're going to use is our cream blush. Now the blush I'm going to use just right under the cheekbone here. Now you've heard all kinds of different stories of where the blush should go. And this may be even a third story that you've heard. Now I'm carrying it under the cheekbone for an absolute reason. What I want to do is I want to accentuate the cheekbone. Okay, I want to bring this cheekbone up. So I'm going to use a little bit right in here, and then I'm going to use a little bit right up here at the temple area too. Now you can start to see what that does. It's starting to highlight this cheekbone. Now we're going to get a little later into highlight and shadow, and I'm going to show you some shadowing techniques. But you can see that already we're starting to create that. You can see how the cheekbone is just a little bit lighter now than the area in here and the area up here in the temple area. Now you've probably heard that you should put blush on the apple of the cheek or up on the top of the cheekbone. Well, what it does, if it's on the apple of the cheek, it flattens the front of the face. Okay? If you carry it up on the cheekbone, then what you're doing is flattening the cheekbone. We want to emphasize that cheekbone. We want everything in an upward movement, and let that carry right on out. We're just going to blend that off softly so that it comes up onto the cheekbone but doesn't diminish it. Now also I've carried the blush almost to the outside of the iris area here. We want to keep this back a little bit. If we come in too far, we start to narrow the face. Next we're going to go to our concealer. Now the concealer has a great deal of pigment. All the products that we'll be showing you today have a great deal of pigment in them. So therefore it takes very little. All you have to do is use a small amount to take care of the job. Also you'll notice almost every product that I pick up, I work it out on my hand here first. This becomes an easel. And rather than taking just some product on a brush and applying it and maybe getting a heavy transfer right away, I work it out here so it's nice and smooth. Now, the brush, just like the sponge, is a great tool to use. You can see that I can put the concealer on nice and smooth. I can put it right in the area that I want. The amount of concealer doesn't become determined by the size of my finger, but by the application of the brush. Now also, one little trick in lifting the eye that you can do right here. There's almost always a little darker area right in here that is caused by the two eyelids coming together. What you can do is just get rid of that little line. Okay? By doing that, you automatically pick up the eye area. Now you can see what a small amount I'm using here on Lee. And I'm keeping it right in the discolored area, then just letting that blend out across. So this works wonderfully under the eyes. Also use it at the laugh lines, any little area where you might have a little discoloration or a little blemish. Just get rid of those. You can get, again, see how very little I'm using. Now, you've probably also heard at times that you should put your concealer on first and then your foundation. But do you know why that doesn't work for me? If I put the concealer on and then I put the foundation over it, how much concealer should I put on to start with? But if I put the foundation on, now I can look and see exactly how much is needed. Here's another trick that will help open the eye and give you a nice strong frontal bone. This area right in here oftentimes gets a little discoloration. You don't want the shape of the eye to be determined by the discoloration. You want to determine the shape of the eye. So let's go right in here and just add a little bit of highlight. When we talk about tools, we're not talking about just the brushes. The makeup itself is a tool. And because of the way it's formulated, it really becomes an easy tool in your hand. Now, I'm going to smooth this out just a little bit, just blending the foundation now up over here. So this is all one nice even blend so we don't in any way end up with a raccoon kind of look here. And you've seen how we've done Lee's eye. Now let's take a look at another eye. Nancy's eyes have a different configuration. If we look here, we see that Nancy is deeper in this area with both eyes, and that gives the illusion that this is a little fuller. So what we're going to do is apply the makeup. We're going to apply the concealer right in this area, but we're not going to carry it on through here. We are, however, going to come over here and get rid of that little lined area right over in here that brings the eye down. And we'll just blend that out. And also we're going to come up into this area where it's quite dark. We're going to come up in there again so we control what's going to happen to the shape of the eye rather than letting the discoloration control that. Blend that right out in through there and lose that discoloration. So another little trick that you can do, especially if the eye is real full in this area, especially for the woman who has sort of a bag area in through there. You definitely don't want to highlight that. What you can do is come in with a little darker shade. With that darker shade, just blend in through there. What that does then is that diminishes that fullness. So you're playing the light next to the dark. So you will cause the dark area here to recede and the light area to extend. Now, the key to this is blending it out, keeping it nice and thin, because though you want to get rid of the discolorations, you don't want to end up with the raccoon look. So carry that in there, and now we're just going to blend that out just a little bit so we've got a nice smooth transition from the light shade here and here to, in the center, our darker shade right in through here. So what we've done is we've gone from light to darker to light, so we have to be real careful of the blend. So as you can see now, what we've done in looking at the two different eyes, in this area we've gone in with the light. We've gone a little bit darker here so we get the play of the two colors. And this way we smooth that out and we're still able to lift this area up nicely. Now we're back with Lee. We've completed all of our cream products, so now we're ready for powder. Now the purpose of powder is to absorb the oil or the moisture that's on the face. This is our main purpose. By doing that, we're going to set the makeup. Now if we're going to set the makeup, we want to make sure that it's completely smooth and the way we want it to look all day. We don't want any little lined areas or any little blotches that are going to remain that way. So just before I powder, I'm going to go in once more with a brush and make sure that that's all nice and smooth. Just the way I want it to look. Then I'm going to take with the powder puff just a very little bit of powder. See, in that area there, I'm not going to use very much. And again, I've got the makeup nice and thin there, so I don't need to use very much. I'm going to smooth this out. And then just apply a little bit of powder right in there. Now you'll notice that I'm using a patting motion with the powder puff. Okay, I'm not streaking the powder puff across the face because all I want to do is transfer the powder onto the face so that it will set the makeup. This is a translucent powder. Now translucent means that it's going to go on without changing the color of your foundation. Last thing you want to do is apply nice colors, have them all blended off wonderfully, and then change them because you have a powder that has so much color in it that you now have changed your makeup completely. Okay, so that's just patted on. Now, any excess, just take a brush and brush that away. And we have a nice natural look to Lee's skin tone. Okay, our next step is going to be contouring, shading. Now, if you've tried shading with creams before, you may have found it difficult because you've got to do so much blending. I'm going to show you how simple it can be done. We're going to use this product and a brush. Now, each time I use a powdered product, I'm going to use a tissue, okay? The cream products, this was my easel. On a powdered product, the tissue is going to be my easel. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm going to start just under the jawline here. We're going to give Lee just a little bit sharper jawline, and just smooth any little fullness that she might have. Not that she has much, but we're just going to take a little bit of that out. Now, you can see what that's going to do. We bring that in along, again, right under the cheekbone. I'm going to come right up in the temple. And I'm going to take the puff and just softly blend that down. So you just take the edges off of it. Now, see what we've done with that cheekbone? We've made that cheekbone even lighter now by making these areas just a little bit darker. Also, we're bringing that cheekbone up, and we're diminishing just a little bit the sides of the face here so that we get a little bit more of an oval look. Now, this can be used, we said, in the cheek area. It can be used down below on the jawline. If the nose is wide, it can be used to minimize the width of the nose just by applying a little bit in through here. See what we've done now in shaping the face? We've minimized this area through here so that we have a little bit more of an oval shape to the face. We're going to get into the eyes in just a moment, but I want you to think of the cheekbone area as the lower frame of the eye. Now, you've always heard before that the eyebrow is the upper frame. Think of the cheekbone as the lower frame. So when we start talking about the eye in just a few moments, we're going to be talking about this area in through here, not just this little area here, because everything that you do now is going to affect this area. Let's go first then. Now we've already done most of what we're going to do for the lower frame of the eye. Now let's go up to the upper frame of the eye. We're going to start with the eyebrow. Now this is one area that is really important as to what's going to happen to the look of your eye. It frames it, it follows with the shape of your eye, and I'm going to use a pencil here now, and I'm going to use just hair-like strokes. I'm not going to try to color it in like it would be would be with a crayon, but I'm just going to make hair-like strokes in here so that just make Lee's brow a little bit wider, and I'm going to bring it in just a little bit more. Now, brows are something that have gone through all kinds of transitions, from real thin brows to real full brows. But now we're starting to see the brow with a nice tapered shape again. If you want to change and get a proper shape for your brow, there's 3 points to a brow. It's very easy to follow these. If you take a line straight up from the corner of your nose through the corner of your eye, you get the beginning of the eyebrow. If you take a line straight up from the outside of the iris, you get the high point of the brow. And if you take a line from the corner of the nose through the corner of the eye on a 45-degree angle, you get the end of the eyebrow. You always want to have the outside of the brow a little bit higher than the inside. Again, remember we talked about keeping everything in an upward movement. If you let the brow come down too far, you bring the eye down. So keep that up. This is always a little bit higher than this area in here. Now, if you really have a full brow and you've decided that you'd like to pluck it and really shape it nicely, a little trick that you can do is make these 3 points on your face, fill in your brow a little bit heavy in the exact shape you want. Now, anything that doesn't fit into that area that you've applied, that's the area you want to lose. So merely pluck that out. Okay, now we're going to come here just a little bit more. And again, see the hair-like strokes that I'm using are lifting Lee's brow. Now, I think a great trick and a simple thing that you can do with brows is brow control or brow fixative. You see how Lee's brows are coming down here? See how we're starting to lift this on Lee's face? We just bring this right up. Now, an awful lot of brow fixatives last just about long enough for you to shape your brows and walk away from the mirror, and then they start to fall. But one thing you'll find with this brow control is that it really does control your brows and keep them exactly where you place them. I've taken people's brows before that grow completely straight down and turned them with this product so that the brow goes up and gives a nice lift. So we just add a little bit more and brush that up. Now, if you have a full brow and you don't really need to use a pencil, you'll find that by using the brow control, you can still get that nice uplift to the eye, and it makes such a difference. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the eye area. We're going to leave Lee's left eye the way it is so you can see the difference as we go along. Now, a great trick for eyeshadow is first take a little bit of powder. Now just close your eye, Lee. We're going to use a little bit of powder right at the top of the eye area here. we want to get rid of any oil or moisture that might be there, because with the powdered eyeshadows, we don't want the moisture to all of a sudden grab, or the oil to all of a sudden grab. We want a nice, smooth flow of color. A great little trick are these flat cotton tip applicators. You've seen the round ones before, but with the flat ones, they're specifically made for makeup. You can use them, put your product on it, and throw it away. You don't have to keep the little sponge applicators. Now I'm going to use a very light shade, and I'm going to use it right at the inside of Lee's eye here, because we're going to get a nice little tilt to the eye. I'm going to use another color that's just a little darker on the outside. That's going to be the majority of our color. See how easy that goes on? Now, one reason that these eyeshadows are going on so nice is because of the formulation. These we really worked with a chemist on. They have a great deal of pigment in them. So therefore, they have a great deal of payoff. They have immediate payoff, and they go on very smoothly. You don't have to keep going back and forth to get the color. When you put them on, they go on nice and smooth. Now, something else that you'll notice is, as I go along here, I'm going to be working with some fairly dark colors, but they're not going to transfer down into here. There isn't going to be that powder that comes down in here, where you end up with you start off with a beautiful makeup up here, but you've got a mess down here. These products have very little powdering, very little dusting. So I'm going to come back here, just with a little bit of color here. Yeah, we're going to start to blend that together in a minute. And what we're going to use for that is probably one of the best tips or techniques that I can show you. It's a product, and just like I said before, our products are tools. This is the Eye Sculpting Trio. Now, this is probably one of the greatest tips that I can give you. The Eye Sculpting Trio has the colors that you find in and around the eye area. First of all, there's a purple tone. There are a lot of capillaries in and around the eye area. There's a lot of purple, okay? So what we're doing is picking up that purple that's in and around the eye area. A pinkish brown is almost the color of the lid oftentimes. And the charcoal brown is the color, almost an exact match to the color that's created by the shadow of the lashes and the shadow of the eye socket. So when you use this product, what you're doing is contouring the shape of the eye with the colors that are already there. All you are doing is altering that shape. So you'll see how wonderful this works. Now again, remember I'm using tissue as the palette, and I'm just brushing this off so that I get rid of any excess. Again, I want to avoid any dusting. Now, Lee, just look straight ahead. Okay, what I'm going to do here now, I'm starting off with the purplish tone and the pinkish brown tone. And I'm going to come right into the eye socket area and just sort of sculpt that out. See how that gives a little depth in there, minimizes any little fullness area. And then right at the eye, almost in line with the lower lash area, I'm going to come right in here to lift the eye and just come a little bit forward. Now you can see how it just sort of blends. Now another great tool is just the regular cotton tip applicator. I'm going to use that just to blend off the top, so that it just becomes a nice soft blend. We don't want a harsh line anywhere. Now where I want a little bit more color, a little bit darker color, I go to the charcoal brown. Just straight ahead again. I'm just going to use that right in here. Now you can see how the eye is starting to shape and contour. You can see how easy the product goes on. It just melts onto the skin. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the same color, and I've just mixed all three colors now basically together. I'm going to use this right at the bottom of the eye. Maybe come back with just a little bit more of the purple tone. See how easy that is as far as accentuating the eye? Now down just a little bit. Bring that up a little bit more. Okay, now we may come back to that. We're going to line the top of the eye now. Now I'm going to use this pencil right along the edge of the eye. And the whole purpose of eyeliner is to give the illusion that this is how thick your lashes actually are. This is what you're trying to accomplish with this. You're not really trying to put a line there, but you're trying to say, these nice full lashes are this thick at the base. Okay, and I'm just softly bringing that along. Okay, now a little trick that you can do too, just look up and off to the side. I'm going to come just inside on the upper ledge of the eye to accentuate that inner portion of the eye. Now by doing the ledge, what I have done is avoided using up any of the width of the eyelid itself. So we still have the nice strong eyelid, but we've got the accentuation on the inside. I'm going to carry a little bit more color here. And I'm going to lift this just a little bit. So you can see I'm not coming all the way down on the eye. Okay? I don't want to bring the eye down into here. I want to lift that. Again, we're always keeping everything in an upward movement. Okay, I'm going to come back now with some of our charcoal. And just blend that off a little bit. And again, pick the eye up. We're just going to do a smudge across the top of the eye so that it blends off completely. And just straight ahead. Now if you want a little more accentuation at the bottom of the eye, it's where you can come back in with your pencil. But by using the powder down below, underneath the eye, what you do is, rather than saying that the eye stops right here, you can blend it off softly and say, okay, the eye stops down in here a little bit more. Now down once more, Lee. Also, you'll find pinks and mauves up around the eye do a great deal for warming the eye. All right. Now, we're going to use an eyelash curler. I'm going to show you a little trick on an eyelash curler. If you've had difficulty in using an eyelash curler before, try using this technique. What we're going to do, we want to accentuate the outer portion of the lashes. Those are the lashes we really want to curl and bring up. So Lee is going to hold the mirror to the opposite side so that she's going to draw her eye around and therefore be able to get the eyelash curler more easily to those outer lashes. Now, what works so wonderfully with an eyelash curler, Lee, go ahead and do the other eye. What works so wonderfully with an eyelash curler is that you're going to lift those lashes up. Oftentimes, the lashes go straight down. In fact, if your lashes are real straight, you may even find that it cuts off some of the white of the eye. Now, you don't want that. You want to see all of that nice large eye. So by using the eyelash curler, you can lift that up. We're going to follow that with a mascara. And I'm going to bring that right in very close to the lashes. And you'll find that this mascara goes on nice and smooth without clumping. And you'll also find that if you get a little bit up in here, it wipes off easily. Okay, we're going to carry this on through. And I'm going to do the tops of Lee's lashes. This is especially important if you have light-colored lashes. But then I'm going to make sure that the last movement on the lashes is in an upward motion, because again, I want those lashes going up. Now look up. Okay, the lower lashes, real important in defining the eye. Because again, what we're saying is that the eye ends down where the bottom lashes are, not way up at the top. Okay, we're creating the reason for that pencil shadow that we've created. Okay, we're just going to make sure that each lash is nice and coated, and we don't want to stick them together. We want to make sure that each one is free. Remember, again, what we're trying to create is, this is how you look when you get up in the morning. This is how natural and wonderfully dark and full your lashes are. Okay, now we can get a little bit more overview of what our eye looks like here. And I'm going to use just a little bit more color, a little bit of our darker color. Look right down. I'm going to come along and just accentuate this just a little bit more. That's right ahead. So that we lift the eye. And again, taking cotton tip applicator and our brush so we can just blend this out and feather it out. There it is, straight ahead. Okay, now we can lift this just a little bit more so that we continue that nice uplift to Lee's eye. All right, now if you look at the difference between the two eyes, you can see how we're starting to lift. See how the brow lifts the eye area? See how what we've done on the under eye area as well as the upper eye area, the contour, where it's starting to lift and just shape that a little bit more. But you'll notice also that we have a nice natural look with this. It's not an overly made up look to her, because we've used the colors that are already in and around the eye area. This is the beauty of these products. That's worked wonderfully for Lee's eye, but there are other shaped eyes. Let's take a look at Nancy's eye again and see what we would do in Nancy's case. Nancy's eyes are a little bit fuller up in this area, and they have a tendency to drop down a little bit. So we're going to minimize this area in here and pick the eye up a little bit. You can see that we've already done this eye. That's what we've done in here. We've contoured a little bit higher up in this area, and we've made the upward movement here a little bit stronger. So again, we're going to take our handy little flat cotton tip applicators, now just down. I'm going to go into the inner part of the eye here, blend that out softly. I'm going to go to a little bit more color out in here where we want to lift. Again, you can see how smoothly that goes on. Just a little bit darker color in here, a little accent, and now we're ready for our eye contour. So we're going to start off. Now Nancy's eyes are just a little bit darker, so I'm going to start off a little bit darker at the very beginning. I'm going to go in the socket area. Just look straight ahead. Now you can do this too. When you're looking in the mirror, when you get ready to contour this area, look right in the mirror. What I'm doing is just following the frontal bone area. I'm following the shape of the eye, except when I get to this point, I'm going to lift this a little bit more. And by working from under and blending out like this, you're automatically blending that as you apply it, because you're using the darkest amount of the color, the heaviest amount of the color on your brush at the bottom, and then you can blend it on out as you come up. Again, the cotton tip applicator, blending there. Now we're going to use a pencil again. Look down. Just blending that softly at the eye. Again, we're accentuating the base of the lashes. Now straight ahead. I'll come right off here, picking that up so it's in an upward motion. Now up the side. We come inside here just a little bit on the ledge. And now down again. Come across, accentuating the darkness just a little bit more. Now I'm going to use the pencil at the bottom. And follow that with the color, bringing the color a little bit lower than the pencil line, so that we get that nice soft blend off, saying that the eye ends somewhere down around here as opposed to right at the top of the eyelid. Now to complete the lift of the eye, just look straight ahead. I'm going to come out here just a little bit darker. Extending that, letting that blend right off. Now a little bit of mascara. Again, we're going to put mascara on the top and the bottom. The last movements are going to go up, so we lift the eyelashes. And if you feel that you need a little bit more mascara, try a second coat. In other words, go to the other eye and complete both eyes, and then come back to the first eye. Now look up, please. And you'll find that doing the second coat Gives you a lot more depth to your lashes. Okay. Remember to keep them nice and separated, because again, this is the way your lashes are all the time, isn't it? Just do a little bit more contour there. Straight ahead. You can see now how we've diminished that fullness. We've taken the eye, instead of going in a downward movement, and we brought that eye in an upward movement. We've done to a large degree is we've almost followed the line that comes in here from the lower lashes and continued that right on up. On both sides, you can see how that's almost a continuation. All right, now what we've done is we have minimized the fullness at the top of the eye and given a nice upward slant to Nancy's eyes. Now, in finishing up any conversation about our eyes, let's look at one little thing. In most cases, you're going to find that your eyes or your brows, or maybe both, don't really match up. Now, as an example, Lee's eyebrow on this side is just a little bit lower than on this side. Now, naturally, we want to balance that out. So what I've done is I've gone a little bit higher. I started a little bit higher and extended a little bit higher on this brow. And on this brow, I've come just a little bit lower and not gone as high. And therefore, we can balance out the two brows. So that's something to keep an eye out for. And that'll help you with your makeup and the total balance of your face. Now we're going to move on to the lips. And I'm going to start off with a lip pencil. And Lee's lips are just a little bit high on this side and a little bit low on this side. So I want to correct that with a pencil. Now the pencil is very easy to work with. All you have to do is just trace right in there. You'll find it a lot easier than working with the lipstick itself. Nice thing with the pencil too, if your lips have a tendency for the lipstick to bleed, the pencil will help reduce that because it's not as emollient as you'll find the lipstick to be. The wax will hold it a little bit better. A trick that you can do also, if that becomes a large problem for you, as far as bleeding, put your pencil on and then powder this. And that will help that remain there. All right, so we've balanced that out just a little bit more. I've used almost the same color that we're going to use in the lipstick. Now I'm going to use a brush. Okay? You may be used to using just the tube, and that's great as far as getting the lipstick on. But as far as really smoothing it and defining it, try going to a brush. See, I'm going to stay just inside of that lip-lined area. Just smooth it across. You can see how easy it goes on. You can also, pretty sure, see how smoothly and wonderfully the lipstick goes on. This is something that Cher and I worked a great deal on with our chemist. We wanted a lipstick, again, that had a great deal of pigment, that was moisturizing, but not so emollient that it would slide around. We wanted a lipstick that's going to stay nicely. Now, a couple little things that you can do. You can line the lips a little bit more if you like in two ways. You can line with a darker lipstick, or you can line with a darker pencil. I'm going to take just a darker pencil, or darker lipstick here, and I'm going to go just along the bottom edge here, just to create a little bit more line. I'm going to blend that out. See how easily that works? And up here again, where we're creating a little bit more of a lip line, I go right in there. Because I want that to be just a little bit darker. These lipsticks are wonderful because they really stay on well. They really last, and they have great immediate payoff. All right, now I've kept our blush until last. And the reason that I have is because so many times when you apply your blush and then you apply the lipstick, you'll find that the lipstick becomes so dominant that now you have to reapply your blush. So remember, we're keeping this simple. So we only want to do it once, right? So now we're going to come back and we're going to use our blush. Now again, I just automatically take the tissue, just go back and forth so that we remove any of that excess. And I'm going to come right in below that cheekbone, just add a little bit of color in here. See how that's lifting? See how that's lifting that cheekbone? I'll even come right across the eye area here. See how that lifts? Right across here and lift this. Come right in here. And if you want a little bit more of a blend off, just take your powder puff. Just softly go along the edge. And that gives you even more of a blend. Blend is really important in a really nice makeup. Now again, we haven't brought that too far forward because we want to keep a nice width of the face that Lee has. Now, something that you may have noticed all along is that there's still a little bit of a difference between Lee's face, especially now that we've used the blush, and the neck area. This is something that you don't want to let happen. Remember, this is all one picture that you're looking at. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blush now, and I'm just going to come right down into here. And I'm going to bring this color up so that it all fits together in one nice picture. Now this is a little trick that you can do too. When you're getting ready to go out and you have maybe a low-cut blouse or a low-cut gown, oftentimes this area will be lighter, or especially by the time you've applied a nice blush and a nice makeup, it doesn't have quite the rosiness that this area has. Just take a little bit of your cream blush, hit the highlight or the high points, hit the collarbone area in here, hit the shoulders, and you'll find that that will continue the picture all the way around. If the back is open, use a little back there. If you can't get to that, have the husband or boyfriend do it. Of course, if that happens, sometimes you need to start a little earlier. But you want that whole picture to look nice and complete. Now, as we look at Lee, we've used a number of colors, but we've kept them very soft and subtle. We've blended them off in all cases. And we have helped to lift the face. We've helped to lift the eye area, keeping all of this movement upwards. Again, the eye area is this area from the brow to the cheek. It's not just this area in here. If there's one tip that I leave you with, it's the idea that this is the eye. Everything that you do within here creates that eye. Also, you notice how much nicer and stronger the cheekbones are. This is something that you really see with Cher. We really bring those cheekbones up nice and high so that it gives her a nice uplift to her face. Now, let's take a look with Lee's hair down a little bit because we want that nice frame, okay? We want that frame to accentuate even more the cheekbone area here and give that nice shadow across there. Now, we've taken a little while to do this, a lot longer than it's going to take you. That is, unless you're explaining it to somebody else. So when you have your products, when you're practicing at home, try these different techniques. See how they work for you. We've used a number of colors with Lee. We've blended them off in each of the cases. That's one of the real keys. Remember, you need the right products, you need the right tools, and the right knowledge.
Well, we're just about out of time. In closing, I just want to remind you that your face doesn't have to be a victim of circumstances. I mean, even though it's assaulted daily by the sun, pollution, and the natural aging process, you can make a big difference in the way your skin looks and feels, both now and in the future. And as a member of the Skincare Club, this fall you'll be the first ones to receive our new makeup. Thanks for joining us.